Welcome to Hot Mood Financial, the home of everything that rocks. I am Mel O, your certified financial planner. Today we're going to talk about CDs and what they are. But before we do that, how is it that Judas Priest did not get elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Now, in my opinion, that was a pretty big snub. Now, this is a deal. Dire Straits, the Cars, all fantastic groups. And it's, of course, the snub is not as bad as with Black Sabbath, how long it took them to get inducted, but I digress. And just so you know, Eddie Trunk, this is licensed merchandise. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about CDs and what they are. Now, there are a couple different types of CDs you can do. You can do bank CDs, which are the most common, or you can do investment CDs, but they get a little hairy and they're not really for everyone. So we're going to focus on the most common CD, which is a bank CD. Now, CD stands for Certificate of Deposit. And if you're dealing with a bank CD, you are dealing with a CD that is FDIC insured. Now, if you don't know what that is, go 2 videos back and you will see the video on FDIC insurance and what exactly it is. So a CD stands for Certificate of Deposit, and think of it as a time capsule. Okay, so you give your money to the bank and it's locked away for, it could be a 3-month period, or it could be a year, or it could be up to 5 years. Now, there are some institutions that do over 5-year CDs, but for the most common, I've seen 5 years is pretty much the max term. Now, when you give the bank your money, what happens is they lock it away, and then it sits and it gathers interest. So let's say you put money in a CD for 5 years, and what will happen is that the CD will start collecting interest, and that interest will start to compound. Check the last video to explain compounding interest. And then at the end of 5 years, the time capsule opens, you take your initial investment plus the interest that you earned while you kept it there. Now, it's very important to understand that in most banks, once you have a CD mature, you have 7 days to get into the bank and pull that money out of the CD. If you don't, what happens is that CD reinvests, rolls over to another CD for the same exact maturity. So for instance, if you did a 5-year CD, it matured, you didn't pull it out within the 7 days and decide what you wanted to do with it, it will automatically renew for another 5-year term at whatever interest rates are at that time. So once your CD matures, it's very important that you get into the bank immediately and decide what you want to do with it. Now, the reason why this is very important is because anytime you put money in a CD, if you break it before the time period is up, they are going to charge you a penalty. So obviously, if you have, say, a 5-year CD and in 2 years you decide you want to pull your money out, that penalty is going to be higher than, let's say, if you had the CD for 4.5 years and it had a 5-year maturity and then you decided to pull the money out. The penalties are going to be cheaper or less expensive the closer you get to maturity, but you still will have to pay a penalty, and so that's something you really want to watch. And the reason why banks do this is because when they lend money to people, they do it based on their savings and CD balances. So when you commit to the bank or the institution that you're going to put your money with them, they want to make sure that you keep it there and make sure that you don't break it. Now, in some cases, and I am not a CPA, but in some cases, the penalty can be deducted, but I would consult with your tax advisor to make sure if that is still the standing rule and if you would even be eligible for that. So anyway, if you have any questions on this or anything else, you can always reach out to me at Mel@Hot Moon Financial, or you can hit me up on Twitter at MelRocksMoney. And remember, guys, life is unpredictable. Budget for your fun and live for today because you never know what's coming down the pipe. Rock on.